Fashion is one of the most significant prevailing ways in which we think about and present the body in the West and increasingly all over the world. Dress is the form, it's the major form in which we make our bodies social.
Fashion to me means transformative or transformation. And I liked the idea of trying to convey your image or your design or your identity in a different form.
When it comes to the relationship of dress and the body, I think of clothing as a second skin, this idea of oneness and authenticity when it comes to the body.
When you're not in a good place with your body, or you've been advertised to believe that you don't fit into a certain brand or lifestyle aesthetic, it makes you feel like you're not good enough. That's not okay. Everyone deserves to wear what they want.
It's not about a dress, it's not about a piece of fabric, it's about the person that's wearing it. And I think a good garment enhances who you are.
Finding a dress should be fun. That should be the best part of your day, not the worst. That should be the exciting, great thing to wake up and go shopping or, order a dress online or whatever it is.
It's not just about the clothes. It can't at this point just be about the clothes. It has to also be very much about who's wearing them.
So I did a project looking at fashion buying, pret-a-porter collections that I was following really, so quite high end. And there is a quite uniform style of body amongst the agents themselves. It is a kind of white, slim, young world. It's fairly undiverse.
We have a fashion industry that is operating on a system of oppression, and it hasn't been addressed. And so we see this kind of bleed into the modeling industry or bleed into the retail industry and the cosmetic industry.
I get a little frustrated when you see a supermodel on the cover of Glamour in a bikini and she's a size 12 and we're supposed to say, oh, look at this revolutionary cover. The industry's so different now. Not really. You're still seeing mostly white casts of, 17-year-old size 0 girls.
The language and the discourse that surrounds plus-size fashion today feels in a lot of ways very new, like the fashion industry is for the first time discovering the plus-size woman. But whenever you really look back through media sources, including, industry trade journals like Women's Wear Daily or high fashion magazines like Vogue and Harper's Bazaar, you see these conversations flare up every few decades or so.
One thing I would love to see is just more sample sizes. Like as simple as that. When I went into Siriano's showroom and I saw that there was gowns in all different sizes, that's mind-blowing.
I want the customers who are buying the clothes to see that they would look good on them. I hate when people say, oh, that won't look good on me, it's on a size 2. No, that's not true. Like just because you're seeing it in a small form doesn't mean it won't look great on you.
If fashion designers actually thought outside, the conventions of dressing appropriately or dressing to look slender, I think that they could really level the playing field and, really earnestly make fashion much more democratic for all consumers.
If you look in these stores, if you look at where the clothing are for plus-size women, they're in horrible places. They're in the basement or they're, up in the attic somewhere. It should be merchandised together. Girls should be able to shop together.
At the end of the day, this is an industry, this is a business, and surely you want to be more inclusive, not just because that's trendy, but because there's a real market opportunity there.
We're having a great time with working with Moda Operandi, but Moda Operandi's sizes stopped at 16. And we said, well, we would like our sizes to go up to 26. They didn't even have it built in their algorithm for their company to do that yet, but we got them to, which was amazing. So we were the first brand to offer sizes up to a size 26. Where is Gucci? Where is Dior? Where are the massive brands that have millions and millions of dollars? They can do anything they want. And everyone's going bankrupt. That's why you're going bankrupt. You don't have clothes for lots of women.
You were missing a market that could really expand. I really see this immortalization of beauty and youth, and it's kind of static at a point in your life. And I think it could be portrayed much wider or broader to beautifully encompass all our stages.
Fashion media is hugely important in terms of how the fashion aesthetic's disseminated. People, I think, have a very wide diet now of where they consume fashion and where they get their fashion influence from.
Right now, the media and social media, that is how we are deciding what we buy and what we wear. I'd rather watch a girl online wearing her outfit of the day and seeing it in situ rather than just seeing something shot in a studio that I maybe can't relate to as much.
What I'm seeing through social media, how it is providing the grassroots for cultivating these communities that are addressing and trying to tackle problems in the fashion industry head on. We're seeing these courageous voices using or mobilizing social media through tagging, linking, and posting. And you have mainstream media kind of piggybacking on the courage of people who are posting, linking, and tagging, and then sort of co-opting it and then sort of using it to address issues in the industry.
It used to be that the fashion ideal came through designers to journalists, through the magazines, and there was a kind of control, an editorial control. Now we have a kind of democratization, really, of that fashion message, and that's kind of opened up the kind of range of fashion voices and sort of challenged the dominance of the fashion journalist.
The biggest step forward and how we will move forward is listening, but it's also compassion. We have to remember every time we design something, every time we post a picture, every time we put out a marketing campaign, who we are speaking to.
I think that instead of designing with this singular goal in mind of how to make a large body appear more slender, that fashion designers can instead think beyond the boundaries of the body and think about the potentials of fashion design to create interesting silhouettes, to kind of play with the body instead of hiding the body, instead of trying to fit all bodies into this one idealized mold of what a good body is.
I think it's important that every emerging fashion professional, particularly ones of color, find themselves a mentor. When we have courageous individuals in an industry that is predominantly white, taking a chance on someone of color and taking them under their wing or cracking the door open a little bit for them can help that person to realize goals that they didn't even know were possible.
It's an interesting time for fashion because I think there is a kind of opening up and a recognition of alternative bodies. We clearly need fashion to be more inclusive and to start to recognize different body types and styles and aesthetics. It will only happen to a greater extent when we have people, places of influence and positions of influence in the fashion industry who don't conform to that.